On here today, a lot going on. Jason Dumas is going to join us at 6:50. 6:50. He's going down to Summer League to talk about the Golden State Warriors. Giants had the day off. By the way, good morning to everybody on the YouTube chat, everybody on the Twitch chat, everybody on the Comcast Business Text line. Good morning. It is a Payday Friday / Frisco Friday / 50 Cent Friday, whatever the hell Spinotti plays back there. Look, there's a lot going on. Giants had the day off. We'll get into Farhan Zaidi because I'm looking at the Giants' future, and I don't know what it is. Listening to Steiny and Goo yesterday talk about which team has the best chance to win a championship over the next 3 years. I still believe it's the Warriors and the Niners. And there's a Grand Canyon-sized gap between the Giants and the Warriors and the Niners. I don't think the Giants are close to winning the World Series, to be honest with you folks. I don't think they're close.
I probably agree with you.
You know, I don't even know, before the season, the goal was developing. Are they doing a good job with that? But also, you know, if they don't develop, if Casey Schmidt does, Casey Schmidt's been awful at the plate. I know his glove's been great. He's been awful at the plate. Right now, he's looking like a 4A player.
Well, he's like 8 for his last 89 or something.
Yeah, no, it's not
really,
good.
really, really bad. Well, here's what I would say to you, right? Like, last night there was a huge injury for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Do you know what Corbin Carroll did last year at the end of the year?
Oh, he balled out.
Did he?
I don't remember what Corbin Carroll did. Did he slump?
32. Well, no, I'm just giving you an example. 32 plate appearances, 27 hits, 9 doubles,
That's
4
what he
homers. He only batted .260, and he struck out 31 times.
But he had 27 hits?
27 hits and 105 at-bats.
Oh, gotcha.
27 hits. He only played 32 games. Now, Casey Schmidt's first 20 games kind of resemble that. Now, I'm not saying that he's Corbin Carroll, but what I'm saying is that Corbin Carroll then backed it up with a great offseason. He worked out like crazy, and then this year he heads into the year. These are his numbers this year: 18 home runs, 86 base hits,
right.
290 batting average, 559 slugging, 924 OPS, 165 total bases. I mean, the guy's been one of the MVPs and the Rookies of the Year candidates for baseball. So, he backed that up and got tremendously better. He was younger. He was 21 years old. Now he's 22. Huge injury last night. We'll see what ends up happening with him. I think it's the Steph injury. It's his right shoulder, which is his lead shoulder for a left-handed hitter.
That's tough.
But what I'm saying is that, like, Corbin Carroll hasn't really had the struggles. He didn't play last year into the struggle. He came up really, really late, and he's a phenom. He's a different player.
He is.
I want to see what Casey Schmidt does now that everyone has adjusted to him.
Right.
He has to adjust.
How does he adjust back? And Contos was on it. He said he was really worried about him. A lot of people laughed at Contos. Well, I'm officially worried about him. Where's he going to be at? So where are the Giants at? Our poll question, do the Giants have to make the playoffs this season? I don't think they have to. It'd be disappointing if they didn't at this point because the National League is down outside of the Atlanta Braves. There's a lot of up and down teams, a lot of inconsistency in the National League. But do they have to make the playoffs? I just, personally, I want to see what they do with this farm and who comes up. Because next year, when you look at the contracts, like Sean Manaea and Ross Stripling are making $15 million each. $15 million each. And they have player options. They're opted into that.
I mean, who else is giving them that kind of money?
So does Farhan have to give player options away to get players to come here? Because this offseason hasn't been great.
No.
And the offseason started to catch up to him. And everybody was ready to say, Farhan, man, executive of the year. And I'm trying to spin this. I'm not trying to be down on the Giants. They're having a phenomenal season so far, 47-40. I'm very surprised with what the Giants have done. It's been a fun season so far. But really looking at Farhan Zaidi and what the vision is. What is the vision of Farhan Zaidi? Well, he's got a lot of guys on player options. He's shelled out a lot of money to mediocre players. They're going to have a lot of money coming off the books, but can he nail a free agent? So far, he can't.
That's a great, and no doubt. So something I was thinking about, and Sam Lubman and I talked about this yesterday on the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys podcast. Find it wherever you find podcasts. If we're being honest, really, the only time that they ever landed the premier free agent in free agency was Barry Bonds. Yeah. I'm talking about the history of the organization.
Yep.
All right, going back to New York. They always come in second place. Remember the year that they missed out on Zach Greinke? What did they do?
No doubt. Pivot to who did they pivot to?
Cueto and Samardzija. Phenomenal knowledge.
Because they missed out on John Lester too.
They missed out on Jansen because he went back to the Dodgers.
Yep.
They went and got Melanson, right? They missed out on, I forget who the outfielder was, and then they pivoted to Denard Span. Like, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Now, you could say, Joe, that they got Barry Zito. All right, they did. I don't know how many other teams were going to throw 137 million at the time. I don't remember.
And it didn't
Do you
work
remember?
out.
The
It didn't
Mets were
work out.
supposed to be in on.
Was it
Zito
the
at that
Mets?
time.
I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I remember at that time it seemed like the Mets were about to land Zito, and it was like, oh, I guess the Giants won't get it, and then it happened.
So where I'm going at with this is, I think we've focused a lot on free agency, and it is one element of how to build your team. The farm is the other, and we'll get to them in a second.
126 million for Zito. Wow.
I know it's one of the worst contracts ever. What about trades? Some of the best moves in this organization's history have been trades.
Right.
Trade to get Matt Williams. Trade to get yourself Hunter Pence. The trade to trade away Kevin Mitchell and
Matt Williams.
Exactly.
To
And Matt
bring in
Williams.
Jeff
what did I say?
Kent.
Trade to get Matt Williams. I meant
Right.
trade to get Kevin Mitchell.
JT Snow.
Trade to get JT Snow's a great one. There have been a lot of great trades in the history of the Giants, and it just feels like, the really only big deal to bring someone in that Farhan's done is a rental in Chris Bryant. And I thought he'd be a little more aggressive with the farm, quite honestly.
Yeah. Nah, I'm with you there. So I don't know what the goal is with the Giants. What is the fans' goal? What do you want to see out of the San Francisco Giants? We can talk about that, kick that around 888-957-9570. Because here's what I need to see.
Yes, what's that?
Personally, I need to see Luciano and Kyle Harrison at some point. I need to see
This
them.
year?
I need to see them this year.
I'm with that.
I need to see them. Give them that last month that Corbin Carroll got
Yeah.
last year with the Diamondbacks. Give them that last 2 months that Gunnar Henderson got with the Orioles last year. Aldi Rushman, who we're going to see in the
Yes.
home run derby. You
balling.
saw him come up mid-season.
He's balling.
Now you look at the Orioles. They're bringing up dudes after dudes after dudes, and they
Jackson
got more
Holiday.
dudes. They still got 5 more dudes in the farm system.
By
they
most
are
people's
loaded.
assessment, they've got the number 3 overall prospect in
Right.
all of baseball right now in Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's
he's
not
19.
even, and that's not even the only one.
I know,
You see, they got dudes.
I
They
know.
just brought up a shortstop last week.
Yes.
So I mean, you look at what the Orioles are doing. You look at what some of these other teams are doing. Giants got $122 million on the books next year, and that's
How do they have 122 on the books for next year?
Well, DeSclafani's getting 12 next year. Manai and Ross Stripling got player options for $15 million each. Conforto has a player option for $18 million, and really, Conforto's having a nice season. He's worth $18 a year. Mitch Haniger, $19 million next year.
Who's paying? For Mitch Haniger.
And he has a player option in year 3.
And I like Mitch Haniger, but who's paying Mitch Haniger?
And he has a player option for year number 3. So Farhan's is giving out money to, third tier, fourth tier free agents. And in the farm, how far away is the farm? And then how far away are the Giants from actually competing for something? Because again, the pressure we put on the Warriors.
Yeah.
I was listening to Spadoni. The pressure we put on the Warriors. The pressure we put on the 49ers, we don't apply that same pressure to the Giants.
Why?
And I don't know why. There's a lot of pushback when it comes to the Giants for some reason. I have no idea why. But we should be holding them in a higher standard, saying, hey,
I'm with
what's
you.
up? The Diamondbacks have flipped the script. The Padres are spending money left and right. You're losing free agents to the Padres. The Dodgers are the Dodgers.
Yeah.
You don't think they're going to make some moves and make some trades?
absolutely.
They just got Urias back. They lose us to May. They got Urias back. They're going to be in the ball game for another arm or two. So the Dodgers aren't going anywhere. But how long are we going to accept mediocrity from Farhan Zaidi? That's all I want to know.
So that's a great question. I don't have the answer to it. I've kind of done the full circle on Farhan. I've been out on him. I'm kind of seeing the vision. I'm trying to be patient. I'm frustrated. I've had all the emotions. Can we talk about the youngsters while you're assessing the farm right now? Forget Luciano and Harrison. We haven't seen those guys. A couple of years ago, when Duvall first came up, he showed very little promise in that first ever. I think he was up for like a week, 2 weeks. He got lit up like a Christmas tree. He went back down. He came back up for that month. Now, that month was great. It was great. He was not the closer.
No.
And then he kind of had the scar tissue of what happened in the playoffs.
Right.
Game 5 against Bellinger. How would you describe last season
For Duvall?
for Duvall?
I thought it was a good first step. First full season as a closer. I have no complaints over his season. It was up and down at times.
That's okay.
At times, but he got the scar tissue. By the way, he's not a Farhan guy.
No, I know he's not. He's from the prior regime.
So I'm looking for the Farhan guys.
Well, I guess where I'm going at is like with Casey Schmidt right now, right? Like, so you get this, I would say some failure, not a lot of failure with Camilo Duvall. And then we allowed
Right.
that guy to kind of find himself. And now you get to reap the rewards of that.
Right.
Do you think the same thing can happen for Casey Schmidt, or are you more pessimistic on that?
I don't know about Casey Schmidt. Here's what I'll say as a Giants fan, and I guarantee you I don't have the same. I guarantee you it's not just me thinking this right now. Maybe I'm thinking about it out loud.
Because I'm really worried.
Well, are you worried about Casey Smith?
No, I'm just worried in general that Matos right now seems to look a little overwhelmed at times.
He does.
And Bailey is outperforming all of his minor league numbers, which is great, but it has me worried that he'll regress to the mean.
So Matos has only struck out 10 times this season, which I'm not mad at, but he's got to put the ball in play. I'm not the only one who's going to think this. I'm maybe the only one who's saying this out loud.
What's that?
But I'm not the only one who's thinking this. And Loveman and I got into it over the thread, and I was trying to explain, if Casey Schmidt continues to struggle like this at the plate, if Matos continues to struggle at the plate, we're going to start thinking about those guys like we thought about Steven Duggar, Gary Brown, Christian Arroyo, said middling 4A player that the Giants brought up and didn't pan out.
We've overrated them. In terms of our system.
If they don't flip the script, we're going to start thinking about those players in that same vein. Are we not? Like, Giants fans.
You're right.
Giants fans are going to be like, boy, Casey Schmidt, we're so high on him. Now look at him the last 3 months. It is imperative for those two guys.
I agree.
We need hope. Giants fans need hope to say, okay, Farhan, here's the plan. Because if those two guys don't ball out, to me, it's probably more important for Casey Schmidt and Luis Matos to ball out as opposed to just making the playoffs to make the playoffs.
I think that is 100%
Those two guys have to play well.
I
They
agree.
have to start showing me some life, showing me that they're major league players. Because right now they look like 4A players. And if they don't pan out and they don't ball out over these next 2.5, 3 months, then you know what? Giants fans are going to go into the offseason saying, well, damn, the guys we were excited about struggled. We don't know if they're major league players. You can't get free agents because, like the 510 says on the Comcast Business Text line, maybe the state of the city of San Francisco is currently affecting how free agents view San Francisco in this area. All of a sudden, we're back to square one in the offseason again, and we're going to year 6 with Farhan Zaidi. It's one thing to get on Kyle Shanahan going into year 7 without a quarterback. That bugs the hell out of me.
Yeah, but he's been to
three NFC championship games and a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the Niners are humming, and they got a great
overcome it.
roster. Giants got one playoff appearance under Farhan Zaidi so far.
I mean,
one.
The most bold thing Kyle Shanahan's ever done hasn't really worked out yet. I'm talking about trading up for Trey Lance, and yet I don't think anybody is sitting here saying fire Kyle Shanahan.
No, but they've also made other bold moves.
No, but I'm saying he's overcome even the ones like the bold moves that haven't yet materialized or worked out for them.
Right.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Trey Lance flips it around, but it hasn't hampered them. It hasn't been an Achilles heel.
And one thing we crush Lynch for saying, "Oh man, he was at Mahomes Pro Day and he was rethinking things,
almost too honest."
We've crushed Joe Lacob for being too honest at times. What about Farhan and Larry Bear? They've gotten an absolute pass for what they did last offseason. Some people tried to forget about it and sweep it under the rug. Larry Bear said, the light bulb finally went off for Giants fans. They see what we're doing. We're making moves, and they see it now. They're starting to think like us. Hold on. They pumped up this pitching staff before the season and told us this was the deepest starting rotation we've seen in years.
That was absurd.
It was absolutely absurd.
And you and I agreed that it was dramatically overrated. So here, I think the way I view Casey Schmidt and the way I view Matos are very different. Casey's 24, and to me, I put him more in the Brandon Belt bucket. Brandon Crawford bucket. And what I mean by that is he's so elite defensively that when I get positive contributions with the bat, that to me is all gravy. Like, I really, truly believe that. I believe in defense first. Now, yes, your bat is what's going to keep you in the lineup, blah, 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 blah. But, they need this guy to play third, short, and second base, elite defensively. And then if you can bat over 220, that's a positive. That's the way I view him.
We're setting
But
the
he's
bar
24.
so low for him.
But he's 24.
He's 24 years old, and the bar is 220, Shasky?
No, but just hear me out.
You talked yourself into this.
Well, Casey wasn't a top 5 prospect in the system until the last month of last year. Matos is 21. Matos, I'm willing to have higher expectations for. Matos is someone who I already could see has better plate discipline, and I don't know if the power numbers are going to translate, but I want to see him. He needs to bat higher. He needs to be one of the impact bats in this lineup as a guy who can run the bases and hit for power in the gaps. I'm talking about, doubles and triples and things like that. Luciano, same way. I'm viewing him the same way. I put Schmidt just a little. I'm not holding him in such high regard as I do those other guys, because those other guys are top tier prospects at MajorLeagueBaseball.com, highly ranked as well.
That's interesting, because last week we were talking about the prospects in the Giants farm system and who's number one and who's number 2. If Casey Schmidt was a top 5 Giants prospect, why should I set the bar low and say, okay, if he bats 220 And I know you're just throwing that out there. If he bats
Yeah, it's
220,
just, yeah.
that's gravy. No. If you're our top 5 prospect in my system, I need you to play well.
Well, I mean,
this guy,
course.
Cowser, just got called up for the Orioles. He was, number 3, number 4
Yeah.
at time. Like, you're number 5. If you're a top 5 prospect in my system, when I call you up, I need you to be ready to be a big leaguer. Straight up. You got to be a big leaguer, and you need to contribute not only in the field,
Yeah.
but at the plate as well. That's a problem to me.
No,
That's a problem.
I hear you. Which is, we watched the first couple of years of Brandon Crawford, and he did not bat well at all,
Didn't.
right? But I know the makeup of the team was different, and so you could afford to have a guy at shortstop who was all glove and no bat. Like, you could
Yeah.
afford. I don't know if the Giants can afford to have a player at any position at this point who can be all glove and no bat. I don't
Yeah.
know if you can.
I don't know if you can either.
And I think just where they're at, they need more. How do I put this? Where they were at when they had Posey come up and the pitching staff, they needed less from Brandon Crawford.
Yeah.
Where they're at now, I think they are relying more on Casey Schmidt than they should be, and that's more of an indictment on where they are as a franchise.
No doubt.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
I
concerned.
hear your point, and your
Yeah.
point is well taken. I think you're right on, but I'm holding Matos to a higher
Right.
level.
I just, the flowers we given Farhan yet. Hold on. Let's pump the brakes here. Let's pump the brakes. That's why if it comes down to it, and you ask me, hey, should the Giants still sell at the deadline? It's about the development of the youngsters and getting some guys in here
Yes.
who could be major leaguers. Right now, I'm looking at this payroll. I'm just like, damn, they spent $183 million on this team, and they gave out player options. We want to get on the Warriors for giving Draymond Green a player option. Well, at least Draymond Green is a 4-time champion.
Yeah.
At least he's got the accolades
Yeah.
to get that player option. Now, there's a lot of things I don't like about Draymond
Yeah.
Green, but if we're going to get on him for getting player options, they gave Stripling, Henniger, Manaya, Conforto. They gave everybody a damn player option. Everybody. And they gave Jock Peterson $20 million.